Hi, everyone, and welcome to our educational webinar on digestion. We're going to discuss how to fix leaky gut and other digestive issues. Now, I have to tell you the webinar tonight is for educational purposes only and not to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. So be sure that you grab a pen and paper, take down notes. If you have questions, contact getperfecthealth@gmail.com or call our office, and we would love to answer any questions that come up. And also stay to the end because we do have a free gift that we offer you. We'd love for you to have or be able to give to a friend. All right. I'm Dr. Mark Steenerson. I've been in clinical practice for 39 plus years. I've been fortunate to see over 50,000 client visits. I've been trained in nutrition, biofeedback stress reduction, trauma, detoxification, gut health, weight loss, and I'm a retired chiropractor. And the key that I found over these years is that you have to look for the root cause of why the body's not functioning properly. That's what leads to sickness and disease. We've got to find the root cause. Most of what we do nowadays is treat the symptoms, and that does not work. So let me remind you once again from last week what leaky gut is. It's called intestinal permeability. And what happens is instead of the junctions being tight like this between the cells so that food can't get through here, toxic chemicals can't get through here, bugs can't get through here, they get damaged by medications, they get damaged by sugar, junk, chemicals, glyphosate, and they open up in between here. So now these toxic chemicals start being distributed into the bloodstream, causing inflammation, immune reactions, which would be autoimmune conditions, and oxidative stress, which is aging faster than what you should be. So one thing I didn't mention last time that I wanted to add in was over-the-counter painkillers. They're called NSAIDs. And Advil, Motrin, Tylenol, all these different types of things. There's over about 107,000 hospitalizations just from these NSAIDs that people are taking. And they think that they're normal. There's no big deal taking them. 16,500 people die every year. That's like almost the population of Elk River that would die every year just by taking these over-the-counter medications. You have to be very careful because they damage the good bacteria and they damage that lining and they open up that barrier so that those bugs can get into the bloodstream. So there are alternatives, and I recommend things like omega-3s will downregulate inflammation, curcumin, baswala. There's a number of white willow bark. There's a number of things that will help with inflammation instead of using Advil. By the way, using acetaminophen more than once a week increases your risk of kidney disease by about 4 to 5 times. We didn't also talk about alcohol. Some people like to come home and consume alcohol or drink a lot of alcohol on the weekend. That also breaks down the intestinal barrier and can damage those little hairs or the villi that absorb your nutrients. So leaky gut, when we get it, it goes systemic. It goes through the whole body. And when it's down here in the colon, it causes chronic diarrhea, constipation, gas, bloating. When it's up here in the small intestine, we don't absorb our nutrients. We get poor immune function. We get headaches, brain fog, memory loss. Excess fatigue happens with people. That's one of the things when we've got this leaky gut. Skin rashes such as acne, eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, arthritis, and pain and joint pain. We also get this, cravings for carbs. How many people do you know that are craving carbs all the time? They got to have chocolate, they got to have sugar. Well, that is one of the indicators for leaky gut. We get up in the brain, depression, anxiety, It's rampant, the number of people that are on serotonin uptake inhibitors nowadays, and different types of things like Prozac. And it's coming from the gut. This leaky gut business is what's creating this. ADD, ADHD. We have a nurse that is seeing over 82 students a day with these types of problems. MS, multiple sclerosis, celiac disease, and even Crohn's disease are all related to this guy right here, leaky gut. So it's super important to fix the cause of the problem rather than try to treat these symptoms of these diseases. So now we got to look at it and say, okay, how do we find out if you have leaky gut? Well, first of all, the most important thing is that you want to take a very thorough history. So what we do is send out a form that's got 330 questions that goes through all the areas of the body and gives us a nice graph as to what area is having stress. Then we do a thorough consultation. And this is something that has become less and less because doctors are in a hurry. You have to sit down and ask a lot of questions from that history. Talk about GERD, gas, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, headaches, joint pain, fatigue. They could have infections in their mouth. They could live in a moldy house. I mean, there's so many things that could create the underlying cause of the problem. So the deeper you dig in the history, they say that AMA says that about 80 to 90% of all diagnoses are got from a thorough consultation and history only, and that the tests are designed to verify what they found on the consultation and history. So the next thing we do is an exam. One of the things we like to do is Chapman reflexes, which are reflexes on the abdomen. And when we find areas that, say, for example, the tender spot where the gallbladder is, it indicates that maybe we're not moving bile through there. It's getting stuck. If it might, in the stomach area, as we talked about last week, we might not have enough enzymes or stomach acid. Could be in the pancreatic area, not enough pancreatic enzymes, or we could have a blood sugar problem with insulin. If it's in the colon, it could be a problem where we've got the colon blocked up, where we would have constipation, and the other side, it could be chronic diarrhea. So we can get a lot of information from these physical exams. The other thing that we do is a candida saliva test. If you want to know if you've got candida yeast, one test that we can do is take a clear glass of water, put it on your nightstand. When you get up in the morning, gather some saliva, spit it in there, wait 15 minutes, hold it up to the light. It should sit on the top and do nothing. But if you get these strings and they look like jellyfish, like tentacles, or it drops to the bottom or the water gets murky, that's yeast. You can also look on the back of your tongue, going to the bathroom, look on the back of your tongue with a flashlight to see whether or not there's white areas in the back of the tongue. That's another thing for yeast. We also like to do urine tests, and we do a urine test called Indican, which is the waste products of these bugs that will show up. And so if there's a high level, we can see it in a simple urine test. Another thing we can do is a food sensitivity test, which is a finger stick. We do a finger stick kind of like you would if you're testing your blood for diabetes. We send it into the lab. They check 96 different foods to see if you have no sensitivity, a mild food sensitivity, a moderate, or severe. Very, very informative to tell us what foods may be creating the problem. And then we can do an elimination diet where we eliminate certain foods that we might think are suspect. We go off them for a while. We add them back in one at a time and see if you have a reaction to them. And the Cadillac of all tests is by far the organic acid test. It's a comprehensive metabolic urine test that checks over 74 different markers. So this is going to check your overall health, like see if there's any bacteria and yeast, candida in there, and it'll kind of tell us specifically what they are. It tells us if we're low in vitamins, particularly B vitamins, things like that. It tells us if we have oxidative stress, which is a stress that comes on kind of like rusting of a car from a lot of toxic chemicals. Neurotransmitters, those are the things that are made in our gut, the serotonin, the dopamine, it'll tell us those. And then the other thing it tells us is oxalates. Oxalates are highly correlated to many of our chronic diseases like heart disease, kidney disease, cancers, all that type of thing. So we can see if some of these things are developing right from this organic acid test. All right, so let's get started on what do we do to fix it. Number one, by far, is diet and lifestyle. The diet and lifestyle is 90% of what you need to do to get healthy. So we have to quit putting in toxic foods, toxic chemicals in our body and on our body. And our next webinar that we're going to do next month is going to be on toxic chemicals. You don't want to miss that. And be sure to share that because people need to understand these toxic chemicals. We've got to eat foods that are gut healing. We've got to get proper sleep and work with our circadian rhythm, which I'll show you in a second. And we've got to have timely elimination with our bowel movements of these toxic poisons. So when we talk about sleep, sleep is one of the things that we do at night to regenerate and repair ourselves. We should all sleep like this baby here. Look at how content and happy. So it improves our memory. It improves our cognitive functions. So many people tell me they've got brain fog and they can't remember things, but they're not sleeping good. It works on reducing your risk of autoimmune disease. It works on reducing ulcers and different types of bowel diseases like IBS and Crohn's disease are all linked to not getting enough sleep. So our body is on a circadian rhythm. That means when the sun comes up, that's when we should be getting up and getting going, using our body all day. And then when the sun goes down, that's when our body starts to repair all the things that were broken down from our use throughout the day, and the body heals itself. Now, you look here, melatonin starts being secreted about 9 o'clock, so we should be getting to bed right around, starting getting ready about 9 o'clock, be in bed by 10:30, and our deepest sleep is between 10 and 2 o'clock. So that's what we want to do, is get a good 7, 8, 9 hours sleep to repair and heal every night. And we're going to talk more about this when we do our adrenal stress webinar. Another thing that we have to add into our lifestyle is exercise. So I like walking. I like bike riding, yoga, tai chi, swimming, and water aerobics. And this mini trampoline is really good to boost our lymphatic, move our lymph, and push toxins out of the body. Just that light exercise, when we do it consistently, 30 minutes to 45 minutes a day, will increase bowel movements, reduce stress, increase circulation of the brain, so that it's proven that people get a reduction in Alzheimer's and those kinds of things. And it also reduces blood sugar for people that have prediabetes or diabetes. Now, foods, real simple, organic is the way to go. We have to eat organic foods because the glyphosate and those chemicals cause cancer. They're poison. We don't want them sprayed on our food. We can't wash it off our food, by the way. People say, well, I'll just wash it a little bit. No, it's put on with petroleum and then it goes into the skin of the food, and we eat it. And it builds up day after day. So we need organic, grass-fed beef, organic chicken, wild-caught fish, free-range eggs, the vegetables, the fruits, the organic nuts, seeds. And I like a healing smoothie, which I'll talk about in a little bit, how we start our morning here. And then bone broth is especially good. And if you'd like to be able to make your own homemade, just contact us and we'll give you the recipe at getperfecthealth@gmail.com. You can get them from other places, but you've got to be careful because some of them have heavy metals in them. So we talked about elimination, and last time we talked a little bit about bowel movements and the actual color of the feces. We talked about the size and the shapes and that kind of thing, how important it was, and that we should go 1 to 2 times a day. So if somebody's stuck and having troubles, what we recommend is, first of all, magnesium and vitamin C. Those are good natural bowel movers, and we start out and we use them to bowel tolerance. So I start out at a lower level and work my way up, and then when they start to get loose stools, I cut back. I add fiber to the diet, and one of the things that can help is leaning forward on the toilet. Helps to allow the sphincter to relax more, and we get a better release of the feces when we do this. A lot of people complain of loose stools, however. And so many times it's after they've had antibiotic therapy, they develop diarrhea. Sometimes they'll get what we call Clostridium difficile, H. pylori, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel, and even parasites. And so we use a thing called Saccharomyces boulardii, and using that is absolutely wonderful as a natural product to help to reduce diarrhea. It's amazing. So when we're working to fix a gut that is got leaky gut, we do a 3-month protocol, and we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to mention proper supplementation as part of a healthy lifestyle. Linus Pauling stated that, I believe that you can, by taking simple and inexpensive measures, lead a longer life and extend your years of well-being. The most important recommendation is to take your vitamins every day in optimal amounts to supplement the vitamins that you receive in your food. Unfortunately, our food is depleted because the soils are depleted. They said it in 1933. The government said our soils were depleted back then. Now it takes 5 apples to get the same nutrition as 1 apple way back 50, 60 years ago. So let's talk about the 3-month protocol and how this works, or the gut protocol. When we're looking at this, our goal is to break down what we call the biofilm. So I'm going to show you this in a second, the biofilm, which is a mucus layer that forms over the top of the intestinal lining. And then the bugs here get underneath it and they hide inside there. And then when this breaks down, they can come down and go out through here and into the intestinal, from the intestinal tract into the bloodstream. This is a proven scientific protocol that has been used with hundreds of thousands of people, and it works very, very well. So the first thing when we're on the program, we have to look at our eating plan. Last time we talked about that we want to stay away from the number 1, dairy, grains, bad fats. These are a lot of these rancid fats that people cook with hydrogenated oils, that type of thing, processed foods. Remember, 65% of American diet is processed foods and junk food, okay? These foods feed the bugs. If we're eating those, we're actually feeding the bad bugs and making it worse. And this is the biofilm. This is a mucus-like kind of snotty layer that builds up on the lining, and it grows and grows and grows, and then it opens up and makes even more. So we can get this in our sinuses, in our ears. We can get it in our digestive system, in our lungs, and that's where these bugs can get in there and hide in there. It's almost like a protective force field. And then we get overgrowth of all these different bacteria and parasites and yeasts and funguses. So that's the first thing that we have to do, is break down that biofilm. And we break it down by using a serrapeptase is what we call it. It's a proteolytic enzyme, kind of acts like Pac-Man. It goes in there and just eats up that mucus and breaks it down. But it takes about 60 days to knock that stuff down while we're doing it. That exposes these bacteria and bugs, and then we break down and kill these overgrown bugs with natural supplements. We use very strong herbal formulas, and we use homeopathic remedies. We should have 85% good bacteria, 15% bad. And when this gets out of alignment like that, that's when we really end up with the leaky gut and all those illnesses and diseases. The next thing we have to do is we've got to patch up those holes. Remember I said there's holes in that chain link fence. So we use a specific product that will actually act like a patching it all up like we see here, so that the toxic chemicals in that can't get out of the intestinal tract and get into the bloodstream. And then finally, we're ready to start to reseed the gut, just like we would reseed your yard. And we put in these good probiotics, and we add prebiotics in there. That's their favorite food. And we add fermented foods in at this time, like sauerkraut, pickled beets, those kinds of things. We add those in 2-3 times a week. And that will help to regrow the normal biome inside of the gut and make your immune system stronger, build up your B vitamins, your neurotransmitters will be working, you digest your food and absorb more nutrients. It just is amazing for your overall well-being. One word of caution, and a thing I see a lot of times, there are some people that add in probiotics right away. They saw on TV they're good for them. If you have an overgrowth in your intestinal tract and you start adding prebiotics and probiotics, it will make it worse. It comes on at the end after you fix the gut. It's very important. The same thing with fermented foods like kombucha tea, yogurts, and all those kinds of things. Those are not good to use if you've got an overgrowth. So you have to wait till you fix the gut. Then you can add some of these things back in. So I just wanted to mention about vitamins here. Once again, we talked a little bit about it. There are different types of vitamins. There's the junk vitamins that we see in the stores like Target, Walmart, Walgreens, GNC, those kinds of things. And then there's the pharmaceutical grade, and we'll talk about that. So it says right here, the New York State Attorney General's office accused 4 major retailers of fraudulent and potentially dangerous herbal supplements and demanded they remove them from the shelves. The authorities said they had conducted tests on the top-selling store brands of herbal supplements at 4 national retailers, GNC, Target, Walgreens, and Walmart. Here's what they found. 4 out of 5 of the products did not contain the herbs on the label. Well, what did they contain? Well, they contain cheap fillers like powdered rice, asparagus, and houseplants. That's what they're paying for when you buy this junk. I try to tell people day after day when they come in with all these very cheap supplements, don't do it. They're not reputable, and they can cause things like allergies even. So what is a pharmaceutical grade one? Well, it's the highest quality. And what we do, the ones that we have, they have to, when they bring in the raw plant material and herbs, they have to go through quality control where they use 4 to 7 spectrograph tests. And these tests will check for heavy metals, toxic chemicals, see if there's any GMO ingredients in it. If there is, they reject it. It goes on the market, back into another manufacturer who puts them in another supplement and sells them to you. So we don't want that to happen, obviously. The other thing that happens is they will go through and make sure that the actual herbs and nutrients were harvested at the right time, that had peak amount of bioavailability in the body. They don't heat them up so that they don't kill off the enzymes in the nutrients as well. And then when they're done, they'll recheck it again a second time to see that everything that's on the label that you're reading is still in the product and still bioavailable. That is a pharmaceutical grade product. So you need to have integrity with the company that you buy your product from, even if it costs a little more, but then it's going to do you some good. So here's the product I use this is what I call the glue product. This is the one that goes in and seals up the lining of the gut where those holes were. Now, the reason why this is such a great product is it has L-glutamine in it, which has been proven through many research articles. It's got a special zinc carnosine. It's got N-acetylglucosamine, MSM, aloe leaf, okra, DGL, and deglycerized this licorice root. And this particular one won't raise your blood pressure if you have high blood pressure. Other ones will. So this is a phenomenal product to heal the lining of your gut and get rid of inflammation in your gut and boost your immune system. And all you got to do is take a couple of scoops in water once a day. This is what I use first thing in the morning. So this is called Nutra 150. It's a phenomenal new product that came out that has 4 different things in it. It's got 17 grams of protein, and it's pea protein, so it's going to be non-allergenic. It's totally gluten-free. It has high fatty acids in it. It has high fiber. It has probiotics in it to help to rebuild the gut. And it also is very low in carbohydrates. The other thing it contains is nitro greens. So nitro greens are heirloom seeds that have broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and all the things we wouldn't want to eat for breakfast. But it's in here, and because it's in a nice vanilla flavor, we can't taste it. And it's really good for kids because they don't want to eat this ever. They don't want to eat Brussels sprouts and spinach. It also has NutriClear. So one of the things we try to do is detox our body every single day. And the NutriClear is in here to help detox the liver and the gallbladder and push those poisons out that build up in the system. This is also a new product that I really like. Remember we said we reseed it. Now, we'll reseed it 2 different ways. One with just a lot of about 40 billion of the good probiotics and the top 7 strains. But also, the latest research shows that there is a couple of different strains that have come out. These lactobacillus strains up here that you see, and those are new. They have just been found out, and they find that these bacteria will actually stick to the sinuses and to the oral cavity, down into the lungs, that type of thing. And it gets rid of a lot of these different bugs that get stuck in there, cause sore throats, ear infections, chronic sinus, and lung infections. It can also work really good in alkaline or acidic environments. So this is really good. It also is proven to reduce candida yeast. So we have kids take it, they just suck on it. And if somebody has an issue, then we have them take a little bit more to help to get rid of it. But it's an amazing new thing that we can use for adults, as well as it was designed for ear, nose, and throat, because a lot of kids, when they're younger, they get ear infections and they get chronic throat infections, chronic coughs. So this is phenomenal. I take this myself every day. And we talked last time about digestive enzymes and keeping everything breaking down. So hydrochloric acid, hydrozyme is hydrochloric acid and pancreatic enzymes. That will help to digest your food in the stomach, particularly the protein. The beta TCP, that's really good to thin the bile so you don't get gallstones and gallstone attacks, gallbladder attacks. The Bio-6 is the pancreatic enzymes. So that's going to help to give you things to break down different types of lipase, and it's going to have protease in it. It's going to have things to break down cellulose fiber like celery. Absolutely fantastic for that. And then we've got bromelain, which is a vegetarian one that we use from pineapple. And it breaks down the different foods in the body. And some people will use Digestimes, which has hydrozyme and beta plus. So this is going to be for the stomach and the gallbladder. Okay, both of them combined. So we've got some wonderful things to help keep the digestive system back on track. So that's it. Got a chance to go through a lot of things here tonight. And once again, we'd like to offer a free consultation. The consultation is that 300 question questionnaire where we go through and ask all these questions, and then we can find out what's going on. Then I sit down and talk with you for a good, usually at least 30 minutes. And we sit down and talk about all the different things that are going on in your system. And then we do the Indican test, which is a urine test. And that urine test will tell us if there's an overgrowth developing in the gut. Normally, if I do those three things, it will be $99, but you will get it free of charge as a gift for staying on and listening to the webinar tonight. I had it limited for the first 5 callers, but because we had so many people call last time, I'm going to open it up to let anybody do it for the next week. So whoever calls in over the next week, I will be happy to honor that. And I didn't want to have it so some people couldn't do it and others could. Do me a favor, please share this, the first one and the second, part 2 of these digestive with other people. I'm telling you, there's so many people with digestive gut problems that this could help. And they'll come back to you and say, thank you for giving me that information. Now, our next webinar is going to be on Thursday, November 13th at 6:30 again. It'll be Living in a Toxic World, and we are going to go into some really important things that will show you how to get healthy and what to avoid, how to keep your house free of chemicals, how to detoxify your body, what are the issues that are going on with makeup, and how toxic are little babies when they're born. So we're going to go through all that different type of thing next time. So if you have any other questions, feel free to contact us at getperfecthealth@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm all set. Have a great night. God bless.